Hello and welcome to this Planet Coaster 2 mini-series where I'm going to be building a Viking-themed Vekoma tilt coaster. So in this episode we're going to be working on the layout and kind of the terrain and the paths and things. In the next episode we're going to be moving on to the theming, which is my favourite part of Planet Coaster for sure. Now I have played a lot of Planet Coaster. I've not played that much Planet Coaster 2. This was kind of my first real foray into building anything exciting, anything that I'm actually putting effort in. Before I was just kind of playing around with the new features and stuff. So yeah, it's really exciting. I'm enjoying it so far. I know there are quite a few bugs, but yeah, it's a good game, and when those bugs are fixed, I think it's going to be even better. So here we go, going into the first drop, which I've done twisted, kind of like the first drop on Siren's Curse at Cedar Point. That was my inspiration for this one. I know the original Vekoma tilt coaster had a straight drop, but I decided to do this one curved because I wanted the queue to go through the vertical loop whilst you also get a good view of the tilt track, and I thought that wouldn't really be possible if it was a straight drop straight into the vertical loop. So I decided to do it this way. And the vertical loop actually took quite a long time to get right because, I don't know, the speed felt off. I feel like the speed coming out of the tilt track was a little high. I don't know if it was just me, but it felt a little bit unrealistic. I'm not sure. But here we go. We're increasing the size of the vertical loop, and I do that several times. But I think that's the final size that I decided to leave it at. So here we go, just increasing the lift chain speed into the next element. But yeah, so this is going to be just a short mini-series, maybe a few episodes while I finish off this one coaster. And then afterwards I'm going to be building an entire park, which I'm really looking forward to. I think I'm going to theme it to myths and legends, because obviously in Planet Coaster 2 you've got the Viking theme, you've got the mythology theme, and then I'm also thinking of hopefully doing a Egyptian theme, whether that's with like using some creativity with the pieces, because there's not really much pieces like that in game, or if they release like an adventure pack like they did in Planet Coaster 1, then I'll use that. So this is me struggling with the speed again. I wanted to build this kind of like wave turn, but it was going through it way too fast, so I increased the size of that. And then the next element caused me a lot of trouble. I wanted to go into a corkscrew, but again, because of the speed, I couldn't get it to work, so for the next few minutes you're just going to see me struggling to build this corkscrew, because it kept going way too fast through it. Obviously this was sped up, but in real time it was an absolute pain, so I ended up scrapping the corkscrew. So all of this is kind of pointless, but I'm sure it's fun to watch me struggle. So yeah, the smoothing in Planet Coaster 2 is really good. You see, all I have to do is just go around, smooth it 1 or 2 times. It's amazing. Planet Coaster 1 smoothing was an absolute pain, so I'm glad they fixed that in this game. And I mean, I know lots of people have been complaining about the bugs and stuff, but the new features that they added in the game are not talked about enough. Like, the game is buggy, but once those are fixed, then it will just be so much better than Planet Coaster 1. Like, honestly. The pools, the smoothing, the scenery brush, all of it, it's just so good. So still working on that corkscrew, and then at this point I started to realise it's just way too big for a corkscrew. Like, this is an absolutely massive corkscrew, so I'm probably about to delete it. Is this when I delete it? Yeah. I decided to go into a dive loop instead, because who doesn't... Never mind, I'm making the corkscrew even bigger. I forgot I did that, yep. yeah, that is not good profiling. I'm so glad I scrapped that. Going back, and then this is when I build a dive loop, which I'm pretty happy with. So there we are, going into the dive loop, very close clearance. I might have to go back and check that actually. I think it's fine actually. High vertical G-forces in that valley. I think it goes up to like 5 Gs, which is a bit unrealistic, but yeah, you know, we move. So yeah, so the theming for this is going to be Viking themed. I want it to be pretty immersive. As you saw then, I raised the station up, so that's going to be on top of a hill. It's going to be very terrain based. Hopefully lots of water, lots of wooden buildings, that sort of thing. I want it to be like kind of weaving in and out of hills and terrain and stuff, because, you know, Nemesis Reborn, Black Mamba, stuff like that. Can't think of any more. But I really like those types of coasters where you're kind of narrowly missing terrain and stuff. Interesting, those are both B&M inverts that I mentioned then. Rising up over the, well, there will be a pathway there, over the pathway with this overbank. I think Planet Coaster 2 counts that as an inversion, but I don't, because you're not upside down. And then I was going to put an inversion in after the overbank, but I decided to just go for you know, your normal airtime hill instead. You can see experimenting with the different inversions, but yeah, in the end I just decided to go with an airtime hill. It's a relatively compact coaster as well. I feel like I maybe could have made it a bit more sprawling, but maybe that would have taken away from what's eventually going to be the immersion. Up here into a block section. Now if you watched the video that I put out last week about roller coaster safety, you'll know what these are. So basically, when you have block sections, they stop 2 trains from colliding, which means you can run multiple trains on the track at the same time. For example, if the tilt coaster train was going through these turns and it valleyed or something, then the train wouldn't be able to collide with it because it would stop at the block section using sensors and stuff. Here we go, the return of the corkscrew. I decided this is a much better place for the corkscrew to be. Turns out it is, and in the end you'll see it goes over the queue line, which is pretty cool. Kind of like Colossus at Thought Park, how the corkscrew goes over the queue line. Here we go, trying to work on that profiling, because this is actually really the first proper custom corkscrew I've made, because I'm not a big fan of them in Planet Coaster 2. I think they were fine in Planet Coaster 1, the pre-built ones, but in Planet Coaster 2, not the biggest fan, so I decided to make my own. And now here I'm building backwards, which is a good tip. When you come to the end of the coaster, it's better to build backwards so it's a bit smoother into the brake run. And also, in a moment, you're about to see me building the transfer tracks. In fact, I'm about to do it right about now. Here we go. Building the transfer track, obviously not functional. We haven't got that in Planet Coaster 2. I know a lot of people were rumouring before it came out that there were going to be transfer tracks, but no, I don't really mind, because, I mean, you can just fake them and it looks perfectly fine. So these are to bring trains on and off the track. Because we've got multiple trains, we need multiple tracks there. And here we go, building backwards. Just down. It took me a while to get this turn up into the brake run nice. I ended up doing it a little bit less steep, a bit more shallow, because you don't come in with that much speed. The mid-course takes a lot of speed away, which, you know, if this was a roller coaster, a lot of enthusiasts would probably complain about that. But yeah. Because there's not that many tilt coasters in the world, it means you can kind of make up the layout more than, say, if you were to build like a B&M invert. They have very like well-known elements that most of them have. Like they will have like a vertical loop, and the profiling on all of them is all very similar. So yeah, but with tilt coasters, there's only like 2 of them. Well, I think there's only 1, and they're building 2 more right now. So it's a bit, you can be a bit more like creative with what you can do. Here I am smoothing. We are going to fade away because smoothing is quite boring to watch. You don't want to see me just going around for loads of time, just smoothing back and forth. So here we go. Quick sped up POV here. I'll show you a non-sped up POV at the end, and then we can compare that as we move through the series. Obviously it's not this fast in real life because that would be pretty lethal. And into the brakes. And I wasn't happy with that, so I did a bunch more smoothing, but we're going to fade into the next bit very soon. Probably just about now. Here we go. And this is when I sink it into the ground. Because I said it was going to be a terrain coaster. I've sunk it into the ground to make it, it's going to go through tunnels, underground. See the vertical loop is just peeking up above the ground. And I'm trying to build tunnels using the smooth feature, which worked in Planet Coaster 1, sorry. For some reason it wasn't really working as I wanted it to, so I decided to build the tunnels manually instead, which took quite a long time, as you're going to see very soon, but it was worth it. I think it turned out looking quite nice. Yeah, this is when I decided to start doing tunneling, so I'm tunneling for the loop here, just lowering the terrain. Terrain tools in Planet Coaster 1 and 2 are both good. It's just the way they interacted with paths in Planet Coaster 1 that was quite bad, but they fixed a lot of those problems in this game. And yeah, building the tunnel for the corkscrew. And you'll see soon I'm about to build quite a long tunnel, but first building this big plaza. Path tools in Planet Coaster 2 are an absolute godsend. Like, look at this, just drawing a path, like that would be absolutely unthinkable to create a shape like that with the Planet Coaster 1 pathing system, but it's just so easy in Planet Coaster 2. They fixed the pathing so much in it. It's a bit fiddly to get used to, but once you got the hang of it, it's absolutely amazing. And the way you can just stamp away pieces of paths is just so good. I love the new pathing system, and when I build the full park, I'm definitely going to use it to my advantage. See, it's a bit difficult to use the full extent of the paths when you're just building one blueprint coaster, but when you're doing an entire park, then it's going to be really clear how the new pathing system shines. And here we go, I'm just working on building the queue line now, which is very exciting. I wanted it to kind of weave through the terrain, and a big thing that I wanted to have when I was planning this was the queue on a bridge going through the loop. I'm probably going to have to enclose that bit of the queue, because otherwise, loose articles would be a bit of a problem there. So probably going to have to enclose that bit of queue line in like a themed cage of some sort. But yeah, I wanted this queue line to kind of weave up over a hill, all the way up to the station at the top of the hill. And again, as I mentioned earlier, here we go, going through the corkscrew like Colossus. And then this is the bit where we start weaving up the hill. So yeah, the terrain and pathing system, as I mentioned previously, is a lot better in Planet Coaster 2. Like, this was really easy to do, to have this pathway weaving up the hill, and that's because when you place a path and raise up the terrain, it matches with the bottom of the path, whereas in Planet Coaster 1 it would leave like this gap underneath, which was not very nice. So you kind of had to move the pathway up the pre-existing terrain, which was very difficult because the game did not like when you did that. But in Planet Coaster 2 it's just so easy. Look, I'm just raising the terrain underneath the path, building this nice little hill for the station to sit on. And I'll extend this hill all the way around, and it's going to look nice because the station building, which I'm thinking will kind of be like a grand mead hall, maybe use a bit of forced perspective in there, is going to be sitting on top of this hill looking really nice and grand as you make your way up to it. It'll be a very like ominous building almost, because tilt coasters are scary. I mean, I'd love to go on one, but you know, the only one is in Japan is it in Japan? Somewhere in Asia. And I know they're building one at Cedar Point, Siren's Curse, and another one somewhere in the US. But you know, I live in the UK, so that's still quite far away. So here we go, working on the terrain now. So building this tunnel. Now this is the very, very long tunnel. Just slowly making my way through this tunnel, making sure it's got enough clearance through this weaving piece of track. And when I came out the other side, it was like seeing daylight again after being stranded in a cave. But yeah, here we go. Oh yes, daylight. Just finishing off that tunnel there. And working on some more of the terrain. And now you may have saw when I was going through that tunnel that it wasn't dark, and that's because I haven't got the ray tracing features of Planet Coaster 2 yet, because obviously I haven't got a computer that has that high specs, but I will be getting an upgraded computer with a ray tracing graphics card for when I start my new park, which I'm really excited for, because I can't wait to build like dark rides and stuff. I've already got some really cool ideas for dark rides for that park, so I'm looking forward to it. Now building the exit pathway. This is when I realised that the station is really far away from the main plaza, so unless I wanted a really long exit path, I just decided to build another plaza where you actually get some really nice views of the dive loop. Yeah, so like this kidney bean shape. A very big plaza, probably going to add some like decorations to that. See really nice views of the dive loop. I could put a seating area there actually, good idea. Working on some more of the terrain here, just some final adjustments. We're soon going to show the POV when I'm done with this. And yeah, in the next episode I'm going to start building like some of the Viking buildings. Going to do a train design for the train, because obviously you can do that in Planet Coaster 2 now. Here we go, adding a body of water. There's going to be a lot more where that came from. Making sure it's a bit deeper. Checking the speed. And yeah, the area is looking really nice, and I can't wait to theme it up because I think it's going to look really nice. So yeah, thanks for watching, just changing the colour here, and enjoy the POV. I'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye.